What actually is a Dementor? There are creatures in the wizarding world that are monstrous by nature: dragons, trolls, werewolves, beings that can tear flesh or burn a man alive. And then there are creatures like Dementors, things that don't just take your life, they take you. They drain away your joy, your memories, your very sense of self, until there's nothing left but despair. But what actually are they? Where did they come from? And what do they truly represent in the hidden history of the wizarding world? Because if we look closely, through the clues left scattered across the pages of Harry Potter, we begin to uncover a far darker story than the Ministry ever told. One that begins long before Azkaban ever existed. We first meet the Dementors in The Prisoner of Azkaban, and from the very first page of their appearance, something feels wrong. They are not ghosts, nor are they undead in the traditional sense. They are not the product of dark magic, at least not in the way Inferi are. They are elemental. When J.K. Rowling described them, she called them the foulest creatures that walk this earth. But what's striking is that no one, not even Dumbledore, ever claims to have created them. They simply exist. They feed, not on blood or bone, but on emotion, on happiness itself. They are, as Lupin explains, among the foulest creatures that walk this earth. They drain peace, hope, and happiness out of the air around them. And that's the key. They don't just attack people, they change the very environment itself. When a Dementor is near, the world itself reacts. Lights dim, warmth dies, memories of joy fade. They are entropy made manifest. They are the cold void that swallows the human spirit. To understand what they are, we must go back, far before the rise of Azkaban as a prison. The earliest known reference to the island appears in the Wizarding Atlas of the Ministry of Magic, long before the 15th century, as a place already avoided by seafarers. Azkaban existed, but no one lived there. The texts speak of strange disappearances, of ships that never returned, and of sailors who said they could feel the air grow cold before they ever saw land. When the Ministry later discovered the fortress, they found it already infested with Dementors. No one knows who built it, or how long it had stood. But the structure was ancient, pre-wizarding even, and the Dementors had gathered there, drawn to something, or perhaps born from it. Rowling herself once suggested that Dementors are a metaphor for depression. But if we take that metaphor into the in-world context, it implies something profound. Dementors are natural phenomena of human suffering. They don't appear randomly. They appear where despair has soaked into the stones. Azkaban, therefore, may not have created the Dementors. It may have summoned them. After the fall of the dark wizard Ekrizdis, the first known inhabitant of the island, the Ministry considered destroying the fortress. But when they discovered the Dementors living there, they made a fateful decision to use them. By the 18th century, the Dementors had become the jailers of Azkaban. The Ministry, fearing their wrath if disturbed, simply built their prison around them. It was a convenience and a curse. The Dementors fed upon the despair of the prisoners, and in turn, the Ministry had perfect guards, tireless, incorruptible, and utterly loyal, at least for as long as they were fed. It's one of the darkest ironies in wizarding history. The government of magical Britain made a pact, not with demons, but with depression itself. And like all such bargains, it came at a cost. Over the centuries, the influence of the Dementors seeped outward. The entire prison became a sinkhole of misery. Prisoners went mad, memories faded, even guards lost their will. And somewhere in that cold, dark fortress, something ancient and hungry grew stronger. But what is it that Dementors actually do when they feed? Lupin tells us that they consume every good feeling, every happy memory. And when they perform the Dementor's kiss, they suck out the soul. This is the moment where Rowling's world-building becomes metaphysical. The soul, in the wizarding world, is a tangible thing. It can be split, bound, and destroyed, as we learn through the Horcruxes. The Dementor's kiss removes the soul entirely, leaving the body alive but empty, a shell. It's as though the Dementor reaches into the spiritual plane and tears away the essence of personhood itself. What remains is not death. It's worse than death. And yet, it's important that the Dementor cannot create souls, only consume them. It is not a god of death, it is a parasite. Interestingly, we never hear of Dementors reproducing. They simply multiply when conditions allow, when there is enough despair. Dumbledore warns Fudge that their numbers are swelling. It suggests that they are, in a sense, spontaneous phenomena, like mold in damp air or decay in the dark. They are the magical world's reflection of entropy and hopelessness, born wherever there is enough suffering to sustain them. Rowling's own comment that Dementors represent her experience of depression gives us a key to interpret their deeper nature. Depression, after all, isn't evil in the mythic sense. It's the absence of something. The absence of joy, hope, light. The Patronus charm, the only defense against a Dementor, works not by attacking the creature, but by filling the air with positive emotion so intense it cannot survive there. That is, in magical terms, exactly what therapy or hope does in real life. To cast Expecto Patronum requires focus, willpower, and memory, a moment of pure happiness, made real through magic. It's one of the few spells that comes entirely from within the self. The Patronus, then, isn't a weapon. It's an act of defiance. Where the Dementor brings despair, the Patronus is joy embodied. And if we look closely, we realize something. Every major Patronus in the series carries deep personal meaning. Harry's stag, Snape's doe, Dumbledore's phoenix. These are not random shapes. They are memories made flesh. They are identity, standing against oblivion. That's why Dementors are so terrifying, because they attack that very thing: identity, memory, and hope. When the Ministry employed Dementors, it wasn't simply a moral failure, it was an act of ignorance. They believed they could control them, but they misunderstood their nature. Dementors cannot be owned because despair cannot be caged. By the time of Voldemort's return, the Dementors were already restless, their numbers growing, and when he offered them freedom and endless prey, they turned on the Ministry overnight. It's a perfect narrative echo of the theme that runs throughout the entire series. Power that feeds on fear will always, in the end, be consumed by it. There is one more detail, easily overlooked, that hints at something older and darker still. In The Prisoner of Azkaban, when Dumbledore visits the island, he remarks that it is a place of powerful, ancient magic. And when the fortress was first discovered, the Ministry could not explain how the Dementors came to be there, only that they always had been. Could the Dementors be the byproduct of some ancient ritual gone wrong, or were they born of the first wizard's despair, a natural consequence of magic interacting with emotion? There's a theory, whispered among magical historians, that Azkaban itself may sit on a rift between the physical and the spiritual world, a place where strong emotions manifest as real forces. If that's true, then the Dementors are not just creatures. They are the scars of the human soul, literal darkness made visible. The end of the Dementors. After the fall of Voldemort, Kingsley Shacklebolt ordered the removal of Dementors from Azkaban. Their fate is left unstated, but Dumbledore once warned that they will not remain loyal, they will grow stronger and multiply if given the chance. So, are they gone, or simply waiting, in the fog over the North Sea, in the ruins of that fortress, where the waves crash and no bird sings? Rowling never tells us, and perhaps that's the point. Because Dementors were never meant to be defeated. They are meant to be understood. They remind us that despair is not an external force that can be destroyed. It's something that must be faced and fought within. The Patronus charm isn't just magic, it's willpower, memory, and love. The very things that make life worth living. So what actually is a Dementor? It is not a ghost, nor a monster, nor a curse. It is the physical echo of human misery, a being born wherever joy has died. It is despair given form. And that's why, for all their power, Dementors will never win, because even in the darkest times, even on the coldest island, a single happy memory is enough to drive them away. Or, as Dumbledore once told Harry, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light.